Do you like books? And do you like brew, coffee, or beer? And you will love the monthly special video that the Right Mama will be hosting called Book Club Babble and Brew. Welcome to The Right Mama. I am Jennifer Aline. I am a freelance writer, the mother of twin girls, and my debut novel, That Age, is coming out before the end of 2020. This video is a little bit different because I am introducing a new little monthly-ish, maybe every few videos, kind of special video that I am going to host. This little special video that I'm pretty much what it says. I'll have either my coffee or, like I said, if your brew of choice is beer, that's great. Grab whatever you want, sit on down, take a sip, and the video. I'm going to chat about the books I've read recently, the books I'm looking forward to reading, and further down the line, when That Age is released, I will start talking a little bit about some special topics in That Age, kind of in a book club fashion. Writers are also readers, but I want to gain some interest from readers. I also want readers to reach out and to listen and to become part of this little community that I've created on YouTube. We are going to start off with just me talking, cute, fun little chat about a couple of the books that I have read over the last month. The first book that I finished over the last month was ding, 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 Sally Thorne's 99% Mine. And the other book we're going to chat just quickly about is The Night Circus. I am making those noises, but is by Erin Morgenstern. Hope I said her name right. I feel like I always say it wrong. If you can't tell, these books are very different. And quick little fact, I have actually probably been reading and writing fantasy longer than anything. I loved fantasy as a kid. I still love fantasy. I love dystopian fantasy and sci-fi. It just makes me happy. It's a good escape. So I love reading fantasy. And when I saw The Night Circus, and being an aerialist, of course, I was drawn to this cover and to the whole storyline. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. And then, of course, women's fiction, romance is just what I love to write, and I also love to read. It's just fun and easy to read, and it's relatable and just fun. So we're going to talk about 99% Mine. Will not put any spoilers in this video. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about 99% Mine. I had never read any of Sally Thorne's stuff before, but when I went to Barnes & Noble and picked this up before quarantine, I was most attracted to the color of the book, yellow, and I liked the illustration. And I'm hoping that my future debut novel has a similar illustration as what's trending right now with women's fiction and romance and chick lit. Illustration is huge right now, so soon my cover art will be out, and I'm hoping it kind of fits the trend. Yellow caught my eye, and I bought actually a couple other books that were in the yellow category that day at Barnes & Noble, but I started off reading 99% Mine. And of course, I had to look up the author, and I followed her on Instagram and Twitter. And something really cool about Sally Thorne is she likes to collect and work on miniatures, like a tiny little dollhouse with tiny little bookshelves with little tiny books that are in each of them. And if I can, I might find some pictures and put them over here. I have never seen this, and I think it's fascinating. And Sally Thorne really made me interested in following her journey with these little miniatures. It's so cool. I will read you the back blurb, or just the first paragraph, to kind of give you a little idea of what it's about. Darcy Barrett has undertaken a global survey of men. She's traveled the world and can categorically say that no one measures up to Tom Valeska, whose only flaw is that Jamie, Darcy's twin brother, saw him first and claimed him forever as his best friend. She ends up working on their grandmother's old house, and Tom Valeska also is there to renovate it. And it's Darcy and Tom hanging out. You pretty much know from the beginning, this isn't a spoiler, that Darcy loves Tom. And the trope of the guy next door, the kind of guy across the street, comes into play. Tom lived across the street. The family pretty much took him in almost as their own, and they grew up together. So that trope was in here, which I love that trope. It's just a fun one. And this story was a quick read, and I'm a slow reader. It was fun. The chapters were short, which I appreciated because, as I said, I'm a slow reader, but it was a fun story. I didn't really have anything negative to say about it. I enjoyed this because of her witty, sarcastic way of writing. Her writing style is similar to mine in a way, and I can't really explain how, but it's similar. And I just liked how it was fast to read, easy to read, and fun. I started reading this kind of beginning, middle of quarantine, and I also started reading The Night Circus about that time as well. And I really needed something fun, sassy, and feisty. And Sally Thorne did this. And I definitely want to read The Hating Game, which is coming out. I think it's also a movie coming out soon too. So she definitely is somebody who I like. I really like her writing. I like her style. So I'm excited to read The Hating Game next. On to The Night Circus. Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I knew there was a huge roar about this book, and being, like I said, somebody who does aerial arts and silks and am in the Cirque community, I was very intrigued by this story, especially the storyline that is dark and kind of mysterious, and it's fantasy driven, and I love fantasy, and being the beginning of quarantine, I was like, yeah, a nice escape. That would be great. I like dark fantasy, and if it has a circus theme, I'm in. The first paragraph of the back blurb, if you don't know what it's about. Arrives without warning. No announcements precede it. It is simply there. When yesterday it was not. Within the black and white striped canvas tents is an utterly unique experience full of breathtaking amazements. It's called Le Cirque du Rêve, and it is only open at night. If it doesn't grab your attention, then I don't know what does. It worked. I didn't finish this book. I don't know if it was because maybe I just needed something a little bit more fun to read and easy to read and just relatable and cute and sassy because of quarantine and all the depression that was going on. But I was able to get through this book easily because I needed that fun escape. However, I usually am able to quickly get through fantasy because I'm so into it. I love dark fantasy. And I was really sad I couldn't finish this book. I'm putting it aside, putting it back in my TBR trunk because I do want to read it. I got about halfway through, I think, about here in the story. And I liked it, but I do have a few things that I think made it so I couldn't focus as much. Writing style, but it's a mix of literary and commercial. And though I love both, I was having a hard time really connecting with her writing style. I found timelines a lot, and there's a lot of characters, and I'm one to write lots of characters, but I was confused. I had a really hard time keeping track of the timeline and the characters, and she would every few chapters write second point of view just for like a page just to kind of get into the mood of the story, but then she'd go back to person. You can tell I'm a little confused. I was really sad because I was looking forward to this. Was on my Christmas list. I got it for Christmas, and I started it like maybe mid to end of January. I was really pumped to read this story. I just finished a really awesome literary fantasy. Thorns. I just finished this. It's a local author, dun, 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 and it's Laura E. Weymouth. She lives very close to me, and I actually met her at a coffee shop once. And this was a great book. You should read it. Excited to jump back into another fantasy book because I like kind of reading two things at once. It balances out in my brain, but this didn't balance out in my brain the way I wanted it to, I guess. So, not a good book. I do like the story of it. It's about this circus that comes to town, and there's this challenge between a girl and a boy, and there's a love story, but there was a lot going on, and I never even got to that love story, and I was really sad because that was kind of what I was looking forward to. To mention what I'm reading now and what we will talk about next time in case you want to jump on the train of what I'm reading. or if they're into women's fiction or they're a Jennifer Weiner fan, I am reading Big Summer by Jennifer Weiner. I really like her books. I started off reading bed, and from there I like her stories. I like her writing. I like her characters. And this is a really interesting book because it's relatable and it's very timely because of social media and influencers, and the main character of the book is a plus size influencer. So it's just an interesting, dynamic in the world we're in now, because I follow a lot of moms on Instagram and those who just talk about body positivity, and it's very similar to the real world with this. So there's more to it than just her story as an influencer. There's a lot more, but it's really, I like it so far, and I'm about there in it. I still got a bit to go. Hopefully I'll get it done in the next month. So I am reading ish that I've been reading for the past few months. I'm not really on like a time frame for it. I just want to read it because I like comic books. Is SAGA. This has been a book or a comic book or I forget what you that I've been reading for the last few months, and I love it. It's a good escape when I'm just not in the mood to read like a whole chapter, because Jennifer Weiner does have longer chapters. I'll give the Night Circus credit for having short chapters, which I appreciated. So it is nice to kind of be like, I'm tired, but I want to read something. Let me read a few pages of this, and it's fantasy, very much so fantasy. Two creatures who meet during a time of war in their realm on these planets, and they have a baby, and it's something they shouldn't have had. So you can guess there's a lot of drama, and it's just a good escape, especially during quarantine, and it's a little bit of that fantasy that I need, and it's just kind of an ongoing bit of fantasy that I'm not in a rush to finish. I'm actually pretty close to finishing it. I'm sure I'll finish it actually in the next month. Top of those, I am listening to my first audiobook on Audible, and it's Jenna Moressi's The Savior's Champion. I have loved her videos since I got on YouTube, and I had to read her stuff, and I love The Savior's Champion right now. She is a phenomenal storyteller, and I don't know if it's the voice of the guy telling the story or just the blood and backstory and characters. The story's good, guys, and I think her sister, The Savior's sister, I believe, comes out pretty darn soon. So I am sure I will finish listening to that audiobook by the end of this month, because I really am going to want to either listen to The Savior's sister or buy it. I might pre-order it because it's really good. So I will along on this lovely little book club babble and brew discussion. I will be doing this every few videos just because I want to connect with my readers. I want to know what you guys like to read, what you find interesting. I want to do some live streams where we just chat books. Let's have a book club chat with coffee or beer or wine, whatever your brew is. Bring it, book fun. So thank you guys very much for babbling with us. And if you like this kind of stuff, and if you're excited for this new little video I'm going to be hosting every few weeks, comment below and comment if you've read any of these books, if you agree with the things I've said. If you don't agree with the things I've said, please talk to me. And if you disagree, tell me. I'm okay with it. I know there's a lot of back and forth when it comes to the Night Circus, and it won't hurt me. So I appreciate you commenting honestly. Thank you guys very much. Please subscribe, put a thumbs up if you like this kind of stuff, and stay creative, stay reading, and drink that coffee or beer.